Here we go.
Got it.
Nice. Thanks for that. Okay. Good. Good.
Right. We're doing this podcast. What?
Let's go. It's time. Put on play pants.
Hey, we're back, everybody. Hi. That's Jason Ginty right there. I haven't seen him in a long time. We took July off from doing this silly podcast, but we're back. It's August, baby, and this is podcast 91. Jason, good to see you, my man.
Yeah, it's good to be seen again. I mean, after eating shit for the last 4 weeks on our social media, it's like, oh, you guys take the longest vacation ever. All the shit we ate, all the comments. And you know what? It's great. I love that kind of stuff because they keep you honest. They keep you honest. And I don't know if it was vacation, but I think it was good to get away for a minute. You know, I mean, I know you were doing a little traveling. I was doing a little traveling. So, and again, at the end of the day, like we've said from day one, this is something we do in our spare time, which neither one of us have any. So we still do it. So the fact that we even pull this off on a fairly weekly basis, I think is pretty good.
So
but it's good to be back.
So I had London for the whole month of July. And obviously I still worked, but we did take a vacation in there. But I don't know, man. I don't know when that happens. My kid is just not to that point. It's just her and I, for the month. There's no, hey, daddy's going to go and talk a bunch of dumb crap with Mr. Jason for an hour and a half. She's like, no, we're hanging out, dude. No, we're doing this puzzle. We're playing Princess Uno. And then we're playing Minnie Mouse Trouble with the little popper in the middle. And then Go Fish and then War. When would you have time, Dad, to do a podcast with that silly pirate? There's no time.
Let me ask you this, because this is fun. You're playing these games. War. I'll play War all damn day. Like I've had epic, long ass War games with both of my kids over the years, and it's the best.
Double War. Double War is when you lose your shit. You flip that card. Bam! We're doing this again.
There's like screaming and yelling and high fiving and losing your shit. It's the best. Yeah. But as you play, right? You're not playing to win. But do you throw it like when you're playing?
War gets pretty long, man. So I'll, when I'm getting my cards together and she's not looking, I'll put in. So ace is the low one for us, right?
Okay.
So I'll put, if I got an ace, I'll keep that on the bottom. So if she's got, like a low card, she can't see me dealing from the bottom. Yeah. Eventually I throw it. I was not throwing any Uno games. Okay. Uno with the Ryans is pretty brutal. So when we went back home, now you can't play Uno with two people, reverse, skip. You know what I mean?
It's weird.
You got to have three people. So forever when I would go home, all those years going home single, it'd just be the three of us and we would play Uno. And I couldn't get away from my mom. I mean, I had to sit next to my mom. There was just three of us playing. And she is just fucking brutal on the wild pickup fours. And it was always going in my direction. Add this to the list of like, hey, what's it like being a dad? My kid is next to my mom and my kid's the buffer. And she's taking all those pickup fours right now because I can finally get away from my mom. It's awesome.
I love the fact that you do that. Yeah. I never really threw too much over the years. I would play. I wouldn't over try to win, but I would rarely throw the game. So if my kid won, it was usually pretty legit. Now I would do the same thing, deal off the bottom occasionally if things were getting a little wilder. I could see the kids start to lose interest or starting to cry. I would, oh, okay, I better back off. But I've never really thrown a whole lot over the years.
I've thrown a few Go Fish games. I know we have Go Fish with fish. So, I know she's got a stingray and I'm sitting on it. And I'm like, okay, but
sure.
What's funny is my kid asking, do you have a snapper? In that little kid innocent voice, I giggle every time still. It's funny to me. But we play Go Fish with fish cards. And
that's awesome.
It's kind of an easy one to kind of throw. And
right.
There's sometimes, when you go fish and sometimes you're just on a roll and what they have and you're you can see them just getting deflated.
You got to hit the brakes. Yeah.
And I can win that game, like 12 matches to her, like 5 matches. So I can kind of keep that game going for a little bit. But Uno is the one thing that is absolutely legit. Everyone's playing as a killer on that game. And we play Princess Uno. So it's got all the Disney princesses on it. So it's the exact same thing as Uno.
Right.
But that one, everyone's out for blood.
Yep. You know what?
It gets, we played for hours at a time with my mom. We played for hours at a time.
Yeah, it's great. And then, when London gets a little bit older, when she's like 8 or 9, you won't be throwing her because she's going to be out for blood. She's going to kick your ass, and you'll start losing. You'll be like, how am I losing? Like, that's what's going to happen. Because that's what happened to me. Because at first, 4, 5, 6, I wouldn't really, I would just play it, lose a lot of them and throw it a little bit. But once it got to be like 8 or 9 and my kid got super competitive, I'm like, bitch, it's on now. I don't care how old you are. I still don't, but now it's changed. The tide has really changed because now he's almost 15 and I wish he would throw a few my way now at this point because he whoops my ass at most everything.
When was the last, so what we're talking about, when was the last time that you guys played a board game together? And what was it? Was it a long time ago? Do you still do that? Do you ever do that?
We have. Yeah, we do. If it's a holiday, we don't have time during the weekend, but like holidays, family's over, we'll bust out a Monopoly game, which Monopoly in this house is I swear to God, there's blood involved. It gets brutal. Kids learn new words. It gets brutal. But yeah, we'll play other shit. And at this point now with my son, he's on it. He gets it. He's out to kill on anything. We play Uno, forget it, man. He'll cheat. He'll do everything to win.
Yeah. It seems like cards are kind of cool with us right now. We haven't really gotten into a whole lot of board games. But growing up, you had a ton of them, right? Like, did you have a closet and they were just kind of stacked up?
Yep.
I had my mom's, and I still have it because you know what a pack rat I am. I have my mom's Monopoly game from when she was young, and the houses are wood. The greenhouses and the red hotels, they're actually wooden. That's how old it is. I feel like we played Monopoly, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago or so, like at a Christmas, like you said. But growing up, and I don't know if it was the same down here as far as board games, just because of the winter and the weather, and you had to just look for things. There was 2 factors. You were indoors a lot because it was so cold. And number 2, board games were really cheap. Yep. So I felt like it was cool that we had a lot of something. But everyone had a lot of board games.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a huge ask for your parents to ask for a board game. You always everybody got them for presents. But I think they were, I don't think they were $8 when we were kids. Like an average board game.
Yeah. Yeah. It was great because we would put on, my mom would put on music. You'd have this albums playing cards and eating popcorn. It just became a great family event, But you're still trying to win the damn game. At the end of the day, I want to win that shit. I don't care how much money you got, Grandma. I'm taking it.
If you are eating chips and you get some of that grease on one of the cards,
you're fired.
Everyone knows everyone knows what I got because this is Rod's chip card right here. You can see his greasy thumbprint on it.
Yeah.
If you got grease on the cards, you don't hear you hear about nothing else the rest of the night.
No. Playing games with the kids is the best, man, because you get time to hang, you talk, you tell stories, you goof around, you laugh your ass off, and there's competition involved, and you're teaching a skill. It's the game itself, it's a skill.
So we did a lot of that. We were outside Buffalo. It's complete opposite, obviously. Talking about being indoors in the wintertime. You forget how nice it is outside up there in Buffalo. And they get about 2 months where it's pretty awesome. One of the days, dude, was sunny and 80. Okay. Right. As it's 100 degrees out, probably right now as we're recording at night.
Yeah.
It's sunny and 80. And, in my hometown in North Tonawanda, Canal Fest is going on. So there's something to do every night. There's stages, there's bands, local bands. But just really, really fun. My kid is super into seeing live music at this early stage of her life. She loves, but we can't sit there. we have to be in front of the stage.
Oh.
She has to dance, and I have to dance with her. And it's like, okay, Aunt Sue, tag in. I'm putting Sue in there. But it's so fun. I know you've been taking Henry, and back in the day, you took Julia to Jazz Fest and all that stuff. And there's so much music in New Orleans that they've been exposed to. But it's not something that I have to drag my kid to. She wants to go. I have to drag her out of there. It's like, listen, it's 9:30. We're still out. I'm like, don't tell mom. And we're staying outside until 9:30, 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
With live music playing. And I'm dragging her out of there.
Yeah, it's summertime though. That's what it's about. And that's cool that she's exposed to that and going out like that, because man, a lot of people don't do that. But
genuinely likes it though. There's one thing, you push this stuff on your kids and you kind of hope they like some of the stuff that you like. And, we wouldn't have done as much of it if she just wasn't interested in it. And she's so interested in it. And I want to keep, I kind of want to keep chucking wood on that fire, like I want her to stay passionate about it. It's a great passion to have, man. Just go out and see live music. And, hopefully that's something that we can do forever. I didn't go see a lot of live music with my dad or my mom. We did, but it wasn't something that, it wasn't something that we did as a family.
Right. Well, the great thing about it is, you go and she understands the game. She knows, okay, here's where the bathrooms are. Here's where the drinks are. Here's where the band is. Okay, cool. She goes away to college. She'll have no problem going out and seeing music. It gives you something to do. And you can go by yourself. Who gives a shit? It doesn't matter. It's not like you or me were afraid to go out anywhere by ourselves because we're weird.
Still,
still after all this time, I couldn't go to a restaurant or a concert by myself. I fucking wouldn't know what to do with my hands. There, I'm like, I don't know what to do with my hands. I'm at a concert. I don't know what to do. I feel weird.
I won't do it. We have this discussion all the time on the air here, like doing stuff by yourself. And, Dinah was just somebody that she could go out. My old co-host, she could go out by herself and go to concerts by herself, go on vacation by herself. And this one too, Tessa, she just went on vacation by herself. Wow. She went to Seattle, Vancouver by herself.
I wouldn't know what to do.
The people that do it, they talk about how awesome it is. Are they lying? I do believe that there are people that enjoy it. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want. You're not reliant on anybody, and if you're by yourself, chances are you don't have kids. So you're just responsible for you and your entertainment.
Right.
But are you really liking it? I know there are people that do, but you can't tell me most people like that do it.
I wouldn't know the other side of the coin. All I know is when I travel with my family, it's like we go out, we do our adventures, we laugh our asses off, we talk about them, and then you go to dinner that night and you just rehash the day and you tell your stories and it's just the best. I don't know. I would miss that part of it if I traveled by myself, but that's what I'm used to. If you're single and you're going out on these solo trips, I guess there's something cool about that too.
It's the first thing they jump on is, well, I can go where I want, when I want, because there's different ways to vacation. There's chill, relax guy, which I'm not. I want to get up. We got up every day. And it's a week off. There's no work. We're up every day. Boom. Going to Niagara Falls. We're going on a hike. We're going down to Devil's Hole. We're doing, I don't know. I'm not the recharge my battery. That recharges my battery.
Right.
That to me, staying active, being out, running and gunning the whole time, I can see where somebody would not want to go on vacation with me because let's get up and go, man. Let's do this. I do not want to lay around. I don't want to lounge.
No. If I'm traveling to,
but you had a different kind of vacation. Like you went to the beach, and that's the whole purpose of it, right?
Yeah, I still get up and do shit. I walk, I go see things. We do, we'll go paddleboarding at different locations, and we'll do all this shit. And it is the reason we do it is because it's like, okay, 99% of the time, our whole family is running at 100 different directions at 100 miles an hour all the time. And I like that to just kind of, but if I'm going to travel somewhere, then we got itineraries every day. We're up early, we're doing our thing, and we're going. But for something like that, it's cool to chill. But and it's funny because I'm sitting there after day 2, I'm kind of like, okay, I've counted all the waves I can possibly count at this point. I don't drink. I'm not partying.
And you guys are in Pensacola, right?
Yeah. Pensacola, Florida, on the beach.
Okay.
fucking beautiful waves. And my son started surfing when he was like 7. Okay. Took a couple surfing classes, got a shitty board, started surfing. Well, he's been surfing for 7 years now. And while he doesn't surf, California style waves, but he can surf his ass off. And that's all he wants to do. So if there's waves, he's out there for 7, 8 hours at a time surfing. And he's like the only person out there for many hours. And then people show up and leave. He just keeps going. He's insane.
You have to be there, right? When he's out there doing that? Like,
yeah, I'm there.
But you got to have a visual on him. He can't be out there by himself yet, can he? Or can he?
Well, I had this conversation actually.
Okay.
He's out pretty far. I can't help him that far out.
I know, but what I'm saying is, you have to be present on the beach while he's doing this. So if he's doing that for 7 hours, I'm not saying you're not going in and out and you're doing some stuff, but you have to be there still.
Yeah, I'm there.
That right?
Yeah, we're there.
Okay.
One of us is always there with him. I mean, yeah. Again, at the end of the day, good luck, son. You're out there far. By the time, if you hurt your head, by the time my dumbass gets out there, it's already going to be too late. But hey, those are the risks you take. And he's a hell of a swimmer and all that shit. So after 2 days, I'm sitting there and he's surfing. He's having a blast, right? And I'm like, sit there. And I literally think about it for about 2 minutes. And I'm like, I should go learn to surf. So I got paddle boards, right? And that's not a surfboard, but you can surf on a paddleboard if you got any sort of balance, right? So I can paddleboard all day long. So I grab the board, I go out, and I go, hey, man. He goes, what the hell are you doing out here, old man? My kid's breaking balls. So I get out there. He's like, what are you doing? And we've been like, the whole thing has been Point Break. We've been watching Point Break, dropping, all the dialogue from that movie with Keanu Reeves, the surfing movie with the presidents, Robin Banks.
Awesome.
Great movie. So that's all we do is we talk about that. Hey, get off my wave, bro. And it's all that stuff. So he goes, okay, well, here's what you want to do. You want to do this. You want to do that. You want to do that. Okay. And he goes, okay, I'll tell you when to go. I go, okay, cool. First wave, I get up, I surf it in, I wipe out halfway through. Good. Second wave, do it again. Halfway through, I wipe out, I crash. But I'm totally getting why people surf, because there is just this awesome feeling of you're just riding a wave and it's cool as shit. It's just fucking great, right? Third wave, I'm up, he's up next to me, and he's like, dude, he looks at me and we're like looking at each other as we're surfing a wave. Now it's a small wave. This is not some fucking movie shit, but we're both surfing the same wave, literally 10 feet apart. He's like, you got it. Goes ride it all the way in. I go, all right. So I'm surfing, trying to concentrate, trying not to wipe out. And what's he do? He fucking turns and smashes into me. And he's like, get off my wave, old man. Fucking, I wipe out. I'm like, motherfucker.
But
that's how my surfing
works. But what's cooler than that? You and your kid surfing the same wave. I mean, that's awesome. Like that's lifelong memory type of thing.
Until he smashed me.
Well, yeah.
Get off my wave, man. That whole thing. But it's just one of those things where I sat there for 2 minutes going, I'm going to go fucking surf. And I did. Okay. Lucky I did. I didn't, but after I did it about an hour. And then that was good because everything started to hurt. So I realized I wasn't in the shape. You don't see chubby surfers. There's a reason. It is unbelievable amounts of work. Unbelievable amounts of work to surf, swim out there, get up, the whole thing. Dude, you got to be in crazy shape.
I remember seeing our buddy Kyle Turley back in the day, and he was the biggest dude I had ever seen on a surfboard. Now, KT was offensive lineman of the Saints way back when. He was on our show when I was in New Orleans, and I had never seen a big man like that get up on a board, and that was really weird. Going back to you don't see fat guys surfing.
Right.
He was, I mean, what was Kyle? 6'5"?
6'5".
260.
Yeah, he was big.
So,
big
260, maybe 270, while he was playing. And I don't know, somehow the NFL filmed something of him because, San Diego guy. And I'd never seen a big guy like that on a surfboard. It just looked weird,
Yeah.
It just looked bizarre.
Yeah, but it's just awesome. It was a cool thing. And again, I'm not saying I'm a surfer now, but I did it for about an hour and I realized, wow, I can see why dudes like when they live in California or Hawaii, the second they get a lunch break, they're gone. Just board on a car, you totally get that,
Yeah.
I think I started too late in life, but I'm gonna pursue it a little bit more because it is cool as shit. I love being outside and in the water, and it's a blast. But I couldn't get out of bed for the next 2 days. Basically, is the issue. One of those things I kind of wish I would have done when I was 25, but I was too busy out doing dumb shit with you, drinking too much.
Well, and there wasn't.
We didn't have a fucking, I didn't live near the ocean.
You didn't grow up where you could go surfing easily, I mean, it's just
no.
I mean, look at us. I mean, we kind of grew up where there was an area where you could go skiing, and we didn't do that. It took money. It was expensive. You're so focused. You're so up your own ass on trying to get your life together. And it's like, when do you have time to sit around and like, I'm going to go and do this,
It brings up an interesting point. And you know what? We'll start the podcast in a minute. We actually got some cool shit to talk about today if we get to it. We may not get to it. We'll just say it for next week. Had this great discussion, and I don't know how it even came about, with a couple of people going, and it got to this is where it kind of came from. It's the surfing thing. And I'm like, back in the day, you used to see guys who would turn like, 50, 55, retire maybe, and they would go out and buy the fancy cars and do all this shit. And they used to call it a midlife crisis. They may still do that. I don't know. I don't hear it as much anymore. But the old dude had the midlife crisis scenario, right? We've probably all seen people do that, all that shit. And we were making fun of it and all this shit. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. It's not a midlife crisis. If you think of it this way, you spend, by the time you graduate high school, okay, what do you do in the next 20 years? You're going to college, you're getting your job, you're going through your career, you're starting a family, you're doing all that shit. Well, there goes 25 years of your life. So now you're what? 40, 45? Then you get to a point where, okay, kids leaving, maybe going to college at this point, and, you're not spending all that money taking care of the kid. Sure, you got the college stuff, but it's different, and your house is maybe knocked down on payments and you've got a few extra bucks laying around. It's not a midlife crisis. It's like realizing, hey, wait a minute. I've got a bunch of shit I didn't get a chance to do when I was younger. So, all that midlife crisis thing, I think it's kind of silly. It's actually going, I can actually do something I wanted to do back then now. Because I'm not running the soccer practice and all that shit. So just an observation when we were at the beach.
Yeah. I'm going to have these experiences coming up with London, and she's 5. I mean, we had a whole half a podcast. We were talking about me out there skateboarding, and I come in with the skin knee, I'm skateboarding with her. I hadn't done that since I was a kid, and out there on the scooter and then bicycles and all of that. I'm here for all of that. Like, I want to do all of that with her. Now, I'll say when we go to, I'm looking around, like when you go to one of these jump places, one of these trampoline type places, there's plenty of moms and dads that just sit there and watch their kids do it. While I can, even with my shitty leg and everything, still, I'm like, no, we're jumping. Like, we're doing this. Now, if I had 2 kids, would I let them jump? Would I sit and watch them? I don't know. I still would want to be out there with them. And
there is something
that's you surfing. That's, I have that option. There's enough kids around. Boom, go ahead. I'm jumping in the ball pit with her and all that.
Can't get out.
Now, the thing that does suck is it's just going to happen. Now, we went to Disney a couple months ago, and those aren't like rides. Those are adventures. Those are things, you're on a boat and it's frozen and there's Olaf and all of that. But now, like back home, I told you that Canal Fest was going on, and there's like a midway, and
nice.
I'm fine, even though it's an old ass rickety Ferris wheel. I'm okay. We're always good for a couple carousel rides still. I'm good. But dude, it's just with me and my kid, I'm going to have to be her ride guy.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, it's not my thing. Like, that is not my thing. It's not that I don't want to do it. I can't. So I did one with her, and
you can now.
I did one with her, and you're in the car, and there's 3 carts, and you got the thing that comes over your head, and that trio is spinning, and then there's 3 or 4 trios, and then the whole thing is spinning, and you're just kind of getting whipped, and you're just whipping around.
Yeah, great.
So it was the longest ride ever. It took forever.
I want to get off. Who's screaming louder? You or the kid? You know what I mean?
She was laughing. She was laughing her ass off. Thought it was so funny that I was miserable. Everyone in line knew I was miserable. I was making a big deal of it. I didn't want to do this and all of that. So Aunt Sue had to do the pirate ship that goes back and forth and back and forth.
Stomach is just gone.
So she did that one. I did, and I don't know which one was worse, but we only had to each do one of those. But that's coming. That's coming in my near future of doing that stuff. Unless,
yeah, it is. And the problem with it is that she knows you don't want to do it, and that's only going to reinforce the fact that she's going to want to do it more. Okay, so you might want to just put on the smile, and go, yeah, come on, let's do this shit. Let's go. Maybe knock that down a bit. That's kind of where I'm at too. Is my son now is gone. Like we've always ridden rides, and I'm okay with most of them. I don't want to go crazy, but I'll do okay on most of them. But I think we're getting to a turning point where he's going to want to do some crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like there's going to be zip lining, and there's going to be all that, and then he's going to look at me because I've done zip lining. I've done all that shit. I don't like it.
I'm here for. I like. Well, you're afraid of heights.
I'm afraid of heights, and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing up here on this rusted cable?
Okay, hang on. Back to the rides. Can you do the one where you're standing and your back's against the wall and you guys are all in a circle together and you're all looking at each other in the ride? And then that thing starts to spin and you're just kind of being pushed back of the wall and then it starts like going up and down. Can you do that?
I can, yeah. I mean, I have. I was always afraid of it back in the day. I don't know. I think I've gotten a little more mellow as I've gotten older. I'm okay with a lot of it now. I didn't used to.
But your what is it? Your equilibrium.
Equilibrium is getting jacked.
Right. Because we don't do a bunch of violent movements. Kids, think about it. They're always moving around and stuff. And it's not, their system is not, they're not as sedentary as we are.
Right.
When we're up on those rides, it's like, what is up? You haven't done something like this in years. This is gonna fuck you up all day. You can do that?
Yeah, I can do it, but I do it because, and it's kind of a twofold thing, is that my wife loves all that shit. So, and we have a fairly competitive family. Like we're all like, and if one of us backs out on something, we're all gonna give them shit. Like we're assholes to each other in that way. Like we're dicks. So I learned a long time ago that I'm deathly afraid of heights back in the day. Like I wouldn't go. I don't like heights at all. But as I went further in my relationship with my wife, I realized that she's not afraid of any of that shit. And I'm like, so I didn't really let it out that I was afraid of heights.
Right.
So I kind of told her one time, and then we went to my brother-in-law's wedding in Guatemala, and there's this active volcano that you can climb. Right. It's big, like there's the clouds, and then there's the top of the volcano. Well, everyone was talking about because we went down there for like I don't know, like 5 or 6 days. So everyone in the wedding party was talking about, oh, we climbed the volcano yesterday. You got to do it. I'm like, and I kept trying to avoid it. So I'm like, hey, let's go and look at this museum. Let's go down to here. Let's go look at this. And I was trying everything I could do to not do the volcano part of the trip.
I love all that stuff.
Well, I get there and dude, I swear to God, I had never, ever been so scared in my life. Climbing that volcano. Like it's just, there's nothing but down. There's nothing but down and death, right?
Yeah, I'm there for that. For some reason, I'm there for that. It's just the wild movements of the ride, but I'll do that all day.
God, but I did it. I fought through it. I ground it out. It was hours of just pure terror. I was just terrified for hours. And at the end of it, I was better. I kind of broke a mold, or I broke through a little bit. So I got better at heights. And I went to London and did the London Eye, the big giant Ferris wheel.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it, we went over there years ago, probably 15 years ago, did it, scared to death. And they got in there, there's like big fish bowls. Each pot is a giant fish bowl. And there's like a bench in the middle. I sat on the bench and looked at my hands in my lap. I was so fucking scared. The last time we went, we were there a year ago. Dude, I was leaning against the glass, looking out and pointing at shit, walking around freely. Like I forced myself over a couple of years to do shit that I didn't want to do. And I still don't love it. Like there's times when I will punt and be like, nah, I'm not going that high. I'm not going that high. I'm not doing that.
The ones that are all encased, those are so much easier than like the old school like open air Ferris wheels. There's I feel like they're so much safer. I mean, they're probably not. I don't know, but you're in like a gondola. Every one of them is a gondola. They're all I mean, the London Eye it's probably the nicest Ferris wheel in the world.
Oh, it's beautiful. But and I can never figure out what it is that made me afraid of heights. Obviously, sheer death on the landing part obviously is part of it, but I don't know if it's the same for everybody else. But when I get on a ride like a big Ferris wheel, old school style, right, I immediately go, fuck, I don't want to be up there at the top. I do love the view. I love a good view, so I like that part. But it's that I start freaking myself out going, I wonder if the guys have really inspected this ride. You know what? Those bolts look a little loose. Were they hung over that day? Because I know when I've done shit in my life, I've been drunk, I've been hungover, I've missed a bolt. I put together a desk. What do? I got extra parts. Like I start really overthinking all these little things, right?
But
and it starts to eat at me.
But okay, I never knew if our old boss Vince was just busting our balls, if it was for lack of something to say, or if he was worried about it. He could not get into a fucking elevator without mentioning getting stuck. Like he couldn't help himself. When we first started in New Orleans, we had to go to the 42nd floor. Right. And a lot of times we would all get there at the same time, or we'd leave at the same time, or we'd go to lunch. And I don't think a fucking day went by. I never once got into an elevator and I said, boy, I hope we don't get stuck today. I don't think like that. But when I'm on a ride, I think like that.
Oh, yeah.
But there's people that, and I know you had your elevator story, but there are people that every single day they get in an elevator and they think there's a good chance that this sucker's going to break down today. Just like you think about rides.
Yeah,
and that would be horrible if you had to do an elevator every day.
Yeah, I do.
But I don't know. Again, with Vince, I don't know if he was just saying shit, but I don't remember being in an elevator with that guy without him saying something. Wouldn't it suck to get stuck in here today?
I wonder if he got stuck one time and it was a little traumatic because my son, who, a year ago got stuck on an elevator and it just got a little weird. No, but it was fine, but he got freaked out. Right. Well, we're at the beach and we're on like the 5th or 6th floor or whatever it was. So we're on an elevator all the time going up and down.
He's going to be the kid that mentions it all the time now.
He gets on and we get in the one time to go down and in the elevator, like before the doors closed, it made a little movement. Right. Because, shit happens. He fucking looks at me and he goes, I'm taking the stairs. And he bolts out of the elevator and he runs down the stairs. Like, so he is traumatized by being stuck in an elevator one time. So I think that's going to be him.
Might stick with him his whole life.
Yeah. And nothing happened. He just got stuck for 15 minutes, right. But he's freaked the fuck out from elevators now. So anyway.
Well, you said that we did prepare a couple of things that we were going to do today. We're going to talk a little Metallica. I went back and looked, dude. I couldn't see that we've ever done a Metallica top 5. James Hetfield, when this podcast comes out, Hetfield turned 60.
Whoa! No,
we have certainly talked Metallica, but dude, I don't think 60's old.
Not anymore.
Well, no, because we're so close to him. But Metallica, like, they're a band from the 80s, dude. You would think that he'd be in his 70s. They're a band from the 80s.
Yeah.
So it just goes to show you how young they were, and they weren't that much older than us when they were doing it.
I know, it's crazy. It's totally crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. So Hetfield turned 60. I thought if you asked me yesterday before I did this, I would have told you Hetfield is 64. Just because they've just been around and they've always been older than us.
Forever.
Not that much.
Ever.
They just started so damn young. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then August 1st. So we're recording on the 2nd. August 1st was the anniversary. And I know we've talked videos and we've talked MTV before. But, man, I still think it's kind of fun. And I saw some things talking about MTV the other day. Number one, it was only available in New Jersey. So when you're thinking that the world had this joint experience of turning on MTV and it changing the world, man, it was a slow go. I think a lot of younger people, if they think about the history of MTV, they all think that we all tuned in on one day and boom, it's like we watched it on the same day at the same time. We didn't have it, nor did we really even know about it.
No.
It was and we're in Buffalo. They're putting this thing together in New York City. You couldn't even see MTV in New York City. It was just in New Jersey. So everyone knows they go on August 1st. Everybody knows the Buggles video killed the radio star. Do you know the number 2 song?
I think it was a Pat Benatar song.
You Better Run.
Yeah, I think that was the
You Better
second
Run
one.
by Pat Benatar.
I saw it.
You didn't see it.
I know. I'm just kidding. Everyone claims they did. It's weird how that goes.
But everybody knows that the Buggles did it. And then the question that now is like, well, okay, because it's so easy, what's the second video played? The third video is Rod Stewart. And apparently there was a black bass player. So he gets the distinction of being the first black guy, the first black musician on MTV. The first medal. What was the first medal on MTV?
So this was 83?
81.
81. Oh, shit.
They played a metal video.
I would have to guess Judas Priest.
Close. They played Iron Maiden by Iron Maiden.
Wow. Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense then. Yeah.
It was the 16th video played. So in the first day of MTV, they played 116 different videos. There was 209 videos played total. So everything was almost played, close to twice, I guess. Rod Stewart gets played the third video. Rod Stewart gets the 15th spin or video played. The 26th, they loved some Rod Stewart back in the day. And the 37th, like Rod Stewart was played the most.
Was it the same song?
He had the first repeat, and he had the most in the first day, and then in the launch of it. Here's a couple of highlights. So Rod Stewart gets the third spin. She Won't Dance With Me. The Who, You Better You Bet, number 4.
All right, nice.
REO Speedwagon, Take It on the Run. 9th video played.
Really?
The first concert video to be aired on MTV. Ooh. And then Styx, Rockin' the Paradise rounds out your top 10. Huh. Some weird stuff, man. 38 Special, Hold On Loosely, 13th video played. April Wine, Just Between You and Me. Right?
That's a stretch, dude. That's a stretch. It's a deep cut.
But the rotation was weird. REO Speedwagon, Take It on the Run is the 9th video played. And then the guy who's swapping out VHS tapes, so this is exactly what they were doing back then. REO Speedwagon, it was played 9th, and then it was played 17th. Like, they did not have a fucking rotation, dude. They didn't have any kind of a...
They were just stacked up.
They were vanguards. You know what I mean? They really were.
You have to keep in mind, too, that, 81, nobody was making videos. A lot of the videos that got played were just like promotional videos that went out to record labels and stuff.
Yes.
That's all they were. They weren't meant to be really seen by the public. So the reason a lot of those artists got played so much, and a lot of them shitty songs, was that that's all they had. That's what they had available. Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody was one of the big ones. And I think that was more or less just a promotional video. It wasn't like made for that. I believe it may not have been that song, but there are other songs like that were just, they had them. And they're like, fuck, we need videos. What do you got? And they were calling everybody. Send us your videos.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Who, there's a lot of Rod Stewart, there's a lot of REO Speedwagon, Fleetwood Mac, Tom Petty. It's pretty cool, man.
It's 81.
It's pretty awesome to see, what they had done and how they put this whole thing together. But MTV, those original VJs, except for JJ Jackson, they're all still alive.
Yeah.
And I think they all still work at Sirius XM Radio in some fashion. I think they're all on different 80s channels and classic rewind. And, there's all the different, but they're all doing things that are age appropriate to them. But I think they all work there in some fashion.
Probably because they've got that name. They got the name. They were the first ones. I was thinking about like some of the iconic videos that you saw a million times that were just like, it became part of your DNA if you grew up in that MTV generation like we did. Like Robert Palmer's Addicted to Love. All the girls with the red lipstick dancing behind them. I mean, that you can't get out of your head. The Aha video, Take on Me, the comic book, black and white.
Those are some of the best videos of all time. It didn't matter that you didn't even liking the song was secondary. I mean, it was like what the video looked like. Even if you didn't, I was a rocker, but man, like Hungry Like the Wolf, it just was fucking cool, man. Like they're running around the jungle and shit. Right. It was awesome. Like, wow, these guys are cool.
Yeah. And it got to be where like, unfortunately, most of the metal videos, a lot of them were just those guys dancing around, jumping around like jagoffs. And it was like, ugh. But when they told stories and they got into it and they put some production behind it, it was like, oh, these are cool. A lot of times the video would make me like songs more,
Well, okay. So this is going to lead us into what we're going to talk about. And you don't have to tell, but Metallica's One. It's always talked about as being one of the biggest Metallica songs because they were already a pretty big band, not the hugest band like they are now, but they were a big band and they absolutely refused to make videos. So when they made the video for One, MTV, I'm guessing 89, I remember that debuting and holy shit, Metallica made a video. Like, fuck, Metallica doesn't say yes to anything. Metallica does whatever they want. And I remember watching the premiere and, them talking about, oh my God, Metallica. It's like they made it for MTV, they made it. And there was in 89, there's a ton of fucking Whitesnake and there's a ton of shit on there and there's a lot of pop and everything. And Metallica's video aired. And it's not in my top 5, but it's a different level of song though, because you had a video to go along with these guys.
Oh yeah. Well,
and that gained them a whole new level of audience.
And you have to think of it this way too. And I was thinking about this earlier, was like, you look at Van Halen was already, established. They were there. But man, when MTV was made for David Lee Roth, those were explosions, those videos with his ham ass on TV constantly. You look at someone like Madonna. Would Madonna has been half as big without MTV?
Oh yeah, the visuals were so important to all of that. I mean, Duran,
all of it.
I know they got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but you had to look a certain way, and I think one of the casualties that always gets brought up is Christopher Cross. Just didn't have the look, and then when you saw what Christopher Cross looked like, this guy was on the radio all the time.
You're like,
in the late 70s and the 80s, and then you looked at him, you're like, what?
Oh,
he just didn't. Because your appearance became as important as the song you were playing.
Absolutely.
Which, it hurt a lot of the genres of music and it drove a lot of the stuff away. And the hair metal bands, obviously it did what it did for that. But yeah, the image became just as important. And it was cool. Also, going back to Metallica, the video didn't look like anything on MTV.
Right.
They didn't put fucking chicks. Okay. You had chicks in your videos, right? Metallica didn't do any of that. They used that old movie footage of Johnny Get Your Gun or whatever. And
black and white.
Yes. And it was just a scary, ominous, dark looking video. And, Metallica just did it on their own terms.
Yeah.
You just think, oh, and it's no big deal when you see that Metallica One video. No, it's a huge deal. Nothing fucking looked like that.
Not at the time. Mm-mm.
So if they were going to, fall, meaning, okay, we can't hide from this anymore, we got to make a video, they just didn't do it like anyone else. Now, they went on to be a great video band, and they made a ton of videos. I mean, it was setting them up for the Black Album, which they probably made 6 videos off of that album.
Right. It's funny. If you go back and I don't know, you get down these rabbit holes on YouTube and you start going back, and I've gone back and looked at a lot of the old metal videos, and it's uncomfortable to watch some of them now. Like I'm uncomfortable watching some of those with all the chicks dancing around and stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is awful. Turn it off. like it gets to the point where it's like, oh God, what were we doing?
It's kind of great. I mean,
it's great, but it's also like, oh my God, that's just shit. That's just terrible. It's a shortcut to thinking.
Look, here's the thing. When rock and everybody got away from it, rappers were said, we'll do that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
Great.
They took it to a whole other level.
So Nirvana's going to wipe out all of the the party rock, glam, metal hair bands. So Metallica's going to wipe all that. If you guys don't want to have fun, we'll have the fun. Rappers were like, bring the girls.
Yep.
Get the pool, get the bikinis, grab
the
the
booze.
and
Yep.
boom, we'll make those videos now. You know, and they're still having all the fun.
They're still having the fun, man. They still are. Yeah. And you know what's interesting too is like, you know, you talk about Metallica not making videos, then finally making videos. Pearl Jam made a couple videos and they said, no, we're done making videos. Like they went another way when they could have made videos for 90 different songs. What would that have done? Not that Pearl Jam's not huge, but what would that have done? You know what I mean? Like they came off some great video, like the Jeremy video. You go watch that. It's fucking still powerful, you know, but they just kind of were like, nah, we're done with that shit. We don't want to do that. It's weird. You know?
Yeah. But, you know, you think about right at the end there, you know, Nirvana. I mean, the Smells Like Teen Spirit. Not only was that song huge and groundbreaking, but the video that went with it, like it's the exact definition of a perfect storm.
Yep.
The video was unbelievable. It just looked amazing. It looked so different. We'd never heard anything like this. And somehow they were able to, because you could have really gotten one of those wrong. I mean, the music, you know, with Nirvana, the music was the most important thing. But at that time, you still needed a kick-ass thing to accompany it, and you had to present it in the right way. And fuck, they got that right.
They got it right. Because they could have brought out the titties and the girl shaking with that song, and it would have just fucking been terrible.
Right. But they also just could have done okay, lo-fi, fuck this. You know, we hate everything. We're anti-rock star. And thank God they were young. They were forced to do it.
Right.
But whoever made that video, damn, they just did such a great job on it. It's so great.
It is. And it fit, you know, it was helping to change that whole tide. You know what I mean? Well, coming up, we'll do our top 5 favorite Metallica songs. And then one of our favorite directors, writers of all time, Kevin Smith, also celebrated a birthday. What is he, like 55?
Kevin Smith he's
52?
Shit, he's younger than me.
Dude.
GD.
What the fuck? How old are you?
Everyone's younger than me.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, guys, next time you're in New Orleans, now there's a lot coming up. There's white linen, there's red dress run. There's great reasons to go into New Orleans. And then when you go to New Orleans, just start stacking all the activities and all the fun things you're going to do when you go to New Orleans. Book the Pirate Tour, French Quarter walking tour. There's a lot of tours in the city of New Orleans. There's a ton of them. And Jason will tell you everybody gets along, but you're getting real history of the city. It's fun. Pirates are dragging you around. You know what I mean? You want to stop off? You want to get a beer? Boom. Of course, all of that stuff. So you're getting the pirate history of how these pirates kind of started, you know, what you see in New Orleans. So book your tour at piratesofthequarter.com. They still got all the great merch. They got a great store page at piratesofthequarter.com. Kick-ass t-shirts for sale. Everything is at piratesofthequarter.com, at Pirates of the Quarter, all the socials. And how's biz going? How's it been?
It's summertime, so it's a little slower and it's hot as balls. But we've been rolling. You know, people always ask me, oh, you know, we're going to take your tour. Is it going to be hot? I go, yeah, it's going to be hot.
You have like a pirate, like a summer pirate get up and then a winter pirate get up.
Totally. Yeah. You dress, you dress how you would dress normally. It's not like this is, you know, people always, well, where's your jacket? I go, it's 100 degrees out. Why would I wear a fucking jacket, dude?
So I dress up as a pirate once a year when I come in for Mardi Gras, because we have a pirate ship and we do all of this, and we have the Pirates of the Quarter. Then it's like, you know, I'm in. But Mardi Gras could be what? 90?
Could be warm, could be cold.
It could be 50. So I too have all season pirate wear.
You have to
I'm ready to go. I got a big ass wool coat. I know you do too. I mean, I got a big ass wool. That sucker's ready to go. You know, if it's going to be, I mean, I'm still going to ride, but you know, if it's 60 out, guess what? The pirate wool coat, and it's starting to really look authentic because it's old now. Yeah,
you got it. It's the key is just let it age, let it get a little dirty, let it get a little beat up, and that gives you some authenticity, man. Kevin Smith is 53. He's 53 years of age, Rod. So there you go.
Did he peak early? And okay, there's only one Quentin Tarantino, but wasn't Kevin Smith going to be like a Quentin Tarantino kind of guy, or didn't you think he was? I mean, maxed out the credit cards, had the indie film, and then kind of had a thing going on, and he was a dialogue guy and everything, and then he just didn't really evolve maybe enough. I don't get me wrong, I like his movies, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and all of that. He tried to go out and do Jersey Girl, got panned. I don't know. It's a respectable career. He does what he does very well. But did you think he was going to do more? Is that a fair question?
I think so. I think, I obviously, you know what? You could ask that of anybody, really. But when Clerks came out and then the Mallrats and Chasing Amy, it was like, okay, he's kind of this indie cool guy making these really dialogue-y, hanging out with your pals sort of movies that really fit Gen X really well, because that's what we're all doing. He nailed it. Tarantino had all the cool dialogue, the cool rap in his movies, but he was able to throw in some kick-ass violence and tell a great story. I think that's where the difference was. Kevin Smith, there's no story to most of his movies. You know what I mean? It's a story, but it's very loose. I think he writes all this great dialogue and he goes, I got to tie this together somehow. How the fuck do I do it? Where Tarantino can write a great story that you give a shit about or you're interested in. Kevin Smith, and we're hanging out in a fucking convenience store. I don't know how it ends. I don't even know what happened. I got to be honest with you.
I mean, George Lucas is known for just doing one thing, for the most part.
Star Wars,
but the one thing he did was just massively, unbelievably huge. And I know they worship all these guys, Kevin Smith just kind of got stuck in doing that one thing. It's for me. I like it. I'm here for it. But he, the Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and then Clerks 10. And, I didn't see Clerks 3, dude. I did.
I saw it.
And I just felt like I don't want to ruin my already dwindling opinion on what's going on with that camp.
I think, life is very interesting. There's opportunity, you seize it, and there's luck involved, right? He actually wrote like Superman. He got brought in to write the script for a Superman movie, right? Nick Cage was supposed to play it, all this shit. Yeah. And it just didn't work out. It got scrapped. It was a good script, apparently, but that's how that works. So he had a trajectory, and he had directed that movie with Bruce Willis that was actually pretty decent. I forget it was some fucking buddy cop thing. It was funny. It was decent. It was a good movie.
Okay.
So he was kind of moving in this direction where you're like, oh, this motherfucker's going to be doing it. He's going to be doing it, but shit didn't line up for whatever reason. And there's a lot of failures out there that in Hollywood, you can write 20 scripts, and if you get one of them across the finish line, man, you've done something. So I think he was in that trajectory, but shit just didn't quite line up for him. And again, that's where the luck comes in too, Right. I mean, how many times have that happened to great songs that you, as a music director back in the day, you'd be like, fuck, this song is huge. It's going to be massive. And it goes to like 25 on the chart. You're like, what happened? It's just timing. There's a lot of luck involved. So I just feel like he could probably still write his ass off, but I don't know, is he happy just making these movies now and doing all the shit he does? I would assume he is.
And speaking of podcasts, man, he should go down as being like the godfather of it. He was doing something called a Smodcast
years ago.
I mean, and I'm sure he still does it, and it's him, and he's just he's like Adam Sandler, like he got this gang of buddies, and then he just kind of kept traveling with them as his life went on, like we are. But yeah, the podcasting and stuff, he was like the first guy I'd ever heard of doing a podcast before.
Right.
He really was the first guy. And I don't know how much credit he gets for that. I don't live in that space. All I hear is, Joe Rogan.
Right.
And, there were other guys that had their moments. You know who was early in on podcasting? And it'll go back to the MTV discussion we had. You remember Adam Curry?
Yeah.
he kind of had that lion's mane of hair.
Yeah, the handsome man.
Yeah, but then he ended up doing the metal show, Headbangers Ball, which, he kind of felt like, okay, they had the wrong guy, but, he did it. It was okay. He was like some super early podcast guy.
Yeah,
and I think he's super rich. He might be like on the back end of like how podcasts get out there. Adam Curry. I'm going to have to go look that up because I don't want to say anything more about him, but I think he's kind of a big deal in the ground floor of these things having a place to go on the internet.
It's funny because we sit here and we talk about, oh man, we thought Kevin Smith would have been bigger, but it's perspective. I would kill for a career like he's had. You know what I mean? When you think about it, hey, he kicked ass. He made movies, dude. You know what I mean? Like if you put it in perspective that way, you compare him to Tarantino. Well, you compare anyone to Tarantino who's not like Spielberg or the guy who directed Oppenheimer, or you know what I mean? Like it's a pretty small world, Yeah. So but I thought he would have had bigger shit happen too back in the day.
Like I thought he could have been maybe our Scorsese because he was our age. He was making movies for us, and I thought that he would. Again, listen, very popular, super awesome. I love his movies. I just thought that he was going to become, too big for us. And then he would start doing all of these other things. Dude, check this out. Who invented podcasts? Most people agree. The inventors of the podcast were Adam Curry, a former MTV VJ, and Dave Winner, a software developer. These two friends wanted to find a way to download online radio broadcasts to an iPod. It was a game-changing device that had been released a few years early in 2001.
Wow.
I couldn't believe I just pulled that name out, Adam Curry. Yeah, he's the guy. But Kevin Smith, man, he was early in on it.
Yeah, he was one of the early adepts because the dude could talk for hours, man. He travels around and just stands up on stage, sells tickets, and just talks about his movies for an hour and a half, and then signs autographs and leaves. Like that's part of his thing. That's what he does for income. Yeah. I was looking at his movies. I'm like, man, Mallrats is a classic. Chasing Amy's great. Dogma. I really like Dogma. I thought that was good. And then Red State is fucking great. I thought Red State was going to be the one that's going to launch him into doing some big movies because Red State was different. It wasn't great dialogue, a lot of cool twists. But
I don't know if I saw Red State.
I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Something happened. I don't know. And I'm sure he's quite fine with it. I mean, who are we to judge? You know what I mean? That's the thing. But yes, I think the Scorsese thing is kind of a good example of where I think he could have went into that zone because he's very good with the music too. A lot of his movies, he's like, oh, he pulls out some crazy fucking tunes. You're like, oh, that's a great song I never heard of.
And that's why we bring him up all the time when we talk about Martin Scorsese, because he, talking about who invented the podcast over here, Adam Curry. But I think without Scorsese, you don't have these guys like putting the music together with the movie the way that he did. He did it in a way that Quentin Tarantino just continued on, and Kevin Smith in a way was just perfect where he placed his music. He knew what he was doing.
What's really funny is like
Tarantino, and John Hughes, you got to mention John Hughes. If you're talking about like who puts, there's a lot of them out there, but John Hughes, again, for me, Wes Anderson, you got to talk about, but John Hughes, Scorsese, and Quentin Tarantino, right? Who places music in movies better than those three? I don't think there is.
Not really.
I don't think there is. There's people that do it great, but not as good as those three.
And people have gotten better at it too. Tarantino has opened me up to a lot of different music, right? Like, we work in radio, so I would consider not a bad judge of music, right? I got a fairly broad scope of music and I always try to expand it. But Tarantino got me all into the Stax records and all that 50s and 60s shit. And I became a huge fan of all that crazy, weird shit. And not that it'll ever happen, but to sit down and talk music with Tarantino, I don't think I could do it. He would blow you out of the water with his knowledge of music and shit.
He'd be so intimidating.
I'd be like, I don't know what the fuck that is. Nah, I don't know what that song is. Like, it's just, and I work in the business for 25 years or whatever it's been. And it's like, he would blow your doors off, And that's what's so great about it is like, you know, when Tarantino, he doesn't make that many movies, but like when he does, like half of the excitement for me is, yes, it's a Tarantino film, but I can't wait to hear what music he throws in there.
I'm the same way. And I believe him when he says he's got one more movie. I believe
sucks. I want him to make 20 more.
But that doesn't mean he's done. I mean, if he says he's going to make one more movie, I mean, look what's happening on streaming services and everything right now. Can I don't know, can can Kill Bill live on Netflix? Like a Marvel, like a universe?
Sure.
You know, like a Kill Bill universe.
Totally. All those characters and shit.
Can they live like that?
Backstory.
So I don't think he's not making one movie and he's never going to do anything again. And I hope he doesn't hold us to that whole one more movie. But
no,
not done. There's just, he's not that old. He's too young, you know?
I hope he's not done, but I also hope he doesn't kind of go back to anything else he's done, because I'd hate to see it watered down. Like so much is so impactful, but a backstory on Reservoir Dogs would be kind of cool. Backstory on Bill, that could be a whole fucking other great movie.
Like the Reservoir Dogs, them, you know, 10 years earlier, and you just get all these young guys playing them, and you use the music and you get that style and that look.
Same vibe,
And he's the executive producer, and he hires some super hotshot guy, and then boom, he oversees and makes sure that whoever's doing it, the kid uses all the right songs. I see Quentin Tarantino going off into the sunset doing a lot of that, you know, on streaming platforms.
Well, you look at like Kill Bill, a great example. Bill's fucking 60-something when you are introduced to him in the movie in Kill Bill 1, right? And you barely see the guy. There's a whole backstory that could be written about just that one dude that would be fucking amazing.
Right.
So, I mean, that's part of it too. So I don't know. We're way getting off in the weeds here, man. But yeah, I always look at his movies. I'm like, I can't wait to hear the music. I can't wait. I have to watch Tarantino movies like 4 times when they first come out, because I'm going to watch it just as an experience. And then I want to hear the music the second time. And then I go and I download the music, and yeah. Let's talk about Metallica.
I remember where I was. His name was Jeff Fritz. He had like kind of a cool Cutlass car, and he's playing something out of the cassette, out of his Alpine stereo, probably with his Jensen speakers, right? Yeah, they have the Jensen speakers.
You had to have the booster. You had to have the EQ booster back in the day. That's what everybody put in their cars. So you turn your radio on and it'd be loud. Then you hit the button.
You had a Pioneer, or if you had a Pioneer or an Alpine, those were the stereos. But you had to have Jensen Triad speakers or something like that, and you had them back on the back deck.
Oh yeah, and you'd spend hours back there because you'd inevitably get the wrong size, but you'd had to fucking make it work. Yeah, I can't tell you how many buddies I helped install speakers.
He's playing something out of this Cutlass that I fucking I didn't believe it to be true, and it was the first time I had heard that double bass, and it's Ride the Lightning. It's the Ride the Lightning album. And I just sat in his car and I said, "What is this?" And I said, and I play the drums already. And I said, "That's no, nobody can do that." It's like when a guitar player heard Eddie Van Halen, and I hate to bring up Lars and Van Halen in the same, but because Lars is nowhere, but you just didn't believe it to be true. There's some trickery going on here. And for the same reason that Tom Morello would say in those early Rage albums, there were no synthesizers used in the making of this album. He wanted everybody to know that it was bass, guitar, and drums.
Right. I
didn't believe what I was hearing. I didn't believe it to be true, because not only could I not do that, I never even thought of doing it that fast. I had double bass, and I go, no human being could sustain that for that amount of time. Fight fire with fire. I'm like, that's not real. It's not a human being playing that.
Yeah.
I was blown away. It wasn't like when I saw Kiss when I was a little kid and I saw that for the first time. But when I heard Metallica, it was one of those renaissance things where I'm listening to something and I'm having an experience right now that I've never had before. And I remember the first time hearing them.
Wow. See,
Yeah.
that's crazy because I came to Metallica late. So like I knew of Metallica. I had a bunch of buddies who were into Metallica and liked Metallica. I had heard some songs, never really gravitated towards it. It wasn't until the Black Album came out that I was like, holy fuck, this is great. You know, of course I was gonna say, oh, you came on board, bandwagon boy, you know, okay, great, whatever, it doesn't matter. But like that's where I really got introduced to it. I'm like, holy fuck. Even that, to somebody who wasn't really a Metallica fan, when I heard some of that shit, I was like, damn, this is badass. And then I went back and discovered the older shit. I went, oh, Jesus, this is crazy shit. And became a fan that way. I started in the middle and went backwards. You know, I wasn't into it in the early days. Remember Mr. Ed, who did like nights at the Fox in Buffalo?
Mm-hmm.
Long mane of hair and stuff. We went out one night and he had got a new car or some shit. He goes, come on, man, let's go get some drinks. I'm like, fuck yeah, cool. And we got in his car and we're humming down the interstate or down the 33 in Buffalo, right? Doing about 100. And he is just fucking cranking Ride the Lightning. Cranking the shit out of it, like where your eyeballs are crossing. It's so fucking loud in his car.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, Jesus Christ, this is fucking awesome. Because it was loud. And Metallica, to really appreciate it, needs to be loud. And I got into it and then went and saw him at Darien Lake outside of Buffalo years ago on the Black Album tour. In the pit, got my ass kicked. It was fucking so awesome, so loud, so like I was scared. It was dangerous. It was everything it was meant to be, and awesome, absolutely awesome. I've seen Metallica about 3 or 4 times over the years, and they may have lost a step because they're older, but shit, deliver every time on stage.
I mean, Lars is trying to keep up, but I think James Hetfield has to go down as one of the best rhythm guitar players of all time. He is just, after him killing the liquor and just getting his head in the good space and everything, and the dude keeps himself in shape. He drives that band. It's him. I mean, they got one of the best bass players in metal. Okay. He's one of my all-time favorite bass players, Robert Trujillo. Lars, I'm always critical of his drumming, but he does what he does, and it's Lars. It's unmistakably him. It's just not great. But normally your bass and your rhythm section drives the band, but you know, you're talking about Metallica live. For me, it's James Hetfield. It's James Hetfield. He is fucking running the goddamn show via his guitar. That's what everyone's trying to keep up with.
Right.
He is a human metronome. His timing is perfect, and everyone's just trying to keep up with him.
Oh, and he's singing. Forget the fact that all that's hard to do, but then he's going to sing the songs and be a front man.
So
talented dude, man.
The first time I see Metallica, Monsters of Rock, 1988, Metallica, Scorpions, Dokken, Kingdom Come opens the show. That's what's his nuts on the drums?
Jason Bonham.
Jason Bonham. And then, of course, Van Halen is your headliner. So Metallica is kind of a baby band on that tour.
88. Makes sense. Yeah. No, you could see that.
They're a baby band on that tour. I mean, Ride the Lightning's already out. Master is already out. Master of Puppets is, you know, most people will tell you that's, I mean, it starts with Sabbath, but Master of Puppets is right up there with Black Sabbath as being like a perfect one of the, you know, the best metal album of all time. If you want to say it's the best metal album of all time, you can still hang with people and say that. So it's gotten only bigger over the years. But in 1988, I mean, Metallica, I don't remember them blowing everybody off the stage. I don't remember that being the takeaway. I don't remember specifics. You know, I'm starting to drink a little bit then and all of that.
That's a big stacked lineup too, and you're not really there for in '88. You're not there for Metallica. Come on, man, you're there for
Van Halen, Scorpions.
Van Halen and Scorpions
were huge.
Yeah,
you know, Scorpions were huge. Yeah, that was a fucking killer show, dude.
See, now that, you know, obviously you really can't, you can't do that today. You know, the ship has sailed on that kind of thing, you know. But boy, those are great when you had those big stacked stadium shows like the Monsters of Rock.
And then,
Shit.
okay, so the other thing that we got to mention is Metallica and Guns N' Roses. Now they're the two. They're oh damn,
They were they were the biggest of the bigs.
And you know who they wanted to take out with them, and they're like, they asked Nirvana to do it,
and they were like, no, it's not our thing.
And Nirvana would have been exposed to so many more people, and they just thought that Guns N' Roses were a joke. They thought that those big bands, they seen bands flying in on helicopters and these big, they're like, that's not us. No, we're not doing that. And that started the whole thing with, you know, him and Axl Rose, you know, not getting along. That would have been the greatest fucking concert ever.
Yeah.
If Nirvana would have agreed to it, and they never even entertained it. It wasn't, we'll think about it. It was a flat out no.
Nah.
And I think what did they get? Faith No More to do it.
Yeah. No, it's just still great. You gotta love that band.
It was awesome. It still goes down as one of the best tours of all time. But fuck, if Nirvana was on that, that would have been amazing.
See, that's what you know. And we always say this: go see the shows when you get the chance, because you never know when those bands are not going to be around. You know, especially now as everybody's getting way older, your opportunities are closing on a lot of these bands. Rod, what are your top 5 favorite Metallica songs?
Yeah, I'm going to be pretty old school about this. Everything's going to be pre-Black Album. Number 5 from their first album. It's the oldest thing. It's something that they play. I think they kind of close out every show with it. It's just Seek and Destroy. I would love to sit here and tell you that I knew that song in '83. That's Dave Mustaine, you know, in the band. And, you know, that's his writing and his, he still has some stink on some of this stuff in those early days. Seek and Destroy, Kill 'Em All, recorded in Rochester, New York.
Really?
Yeah. And that's on a independent, small little label. They came to New York. Sure, they're a San Francisco band, but man, they really cut their teeth in New York. You know, they were like a New York band because that's where their record label was.
Jesus, you want to record a gritty ass fucking band or album? Go to Rochester. That's a gritty town. That makes sense.
Right. So Seek and Destroy. I think they close with that. I still think they close with it. In at number 4, Welcome Home Sanitarium.
Oh, that's so good.
Off of Master of Puppets, and it's considered one of their early ballads. It's kind of their second ballad. If you know, I mean, it's not the power ballad that we know, but it was ballady for them, and that came off of '86 Master of Puppets. Welcome Home Sanitarium, written and kind of inspired by One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah,
those guys were pretty good, man, about their literary and where they drew their influences from. They were pretty well. I don't know how well read they were and stuff, but they were aware of things, and they were aware of books and authors, and that's going to come up in another song coming up here. So number 4 is Welcome Home Sanitarium. Number 3, again, back-to-back master, but Battery.
Oh.
Battery's the needle dropper where you put it on there and then you kind of got this, I don't know, this Renaissance sounding guitar thing, but then just the fucking riff. It's 196 beats per minute. It just melts your fucking face. And it's
so great.
It's one of the best, going back to Guns, you know, opening and, you know, dropping the needle and hearing Welcome to the Jungle. It might be the best opening song on a metal album ever. Maybe. That's number 3. Number 2, Master of Puppets. I can't get away from it. Get away from it. Master of Puppets, from one of the great albums, a top 3 metal album of all time. And then number 1, For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Oh, nice.
From Whom the Bell Tolls, off of Ride the Lightning, Cliff Burton. They said that he was just by far and away the best musician in the band. So he was schooled, trained, knew stuff, just was fucking a great, great bass player. And he would just fool around, and he would do things, and they just let him. They're like, just what is that? Okay, let's build on that.
Right.
And not everybody knows that, that's a bass guitar in the beginning of that song. I mean, I still think there's going to be somebody listening to this podcast that thinks that's an electric guitar, and no, that's the bass guitar. For Whom the Bell Tolls, I don't know, some kind of I forgot what novelist it is. Ernest Hemingway, I think he's responsible for that. But yeah, Ride the Lightning, my first exposure to the band. I remember Creeping Death and all of that off of that album.
Right.
And Fight Fire with Fire. But boy, the evilness of Whom the Bell Tolls, it sounded fucking evil. And that fucking bell tolling was just, it's still haunting.
Heavy stuff. Going back to the comment about the literary and the lyrics and all that stuff, the more I listen to music, the more I focus in on the lyrics. And I'm telling you, man, for years, I was always a semi-lyric guy. I'm like, oh, that really, that I would hear certain sections of songs go, oh, that really, that lyric, that melody, it was perfect. It worked. But now I've become more of a lyric guy because I'm like, oh man, this is, over time you hear a song a million times, maybe you pick up other things along the way, And do you think anyone who was really into Metallica knew what the fuck they were singing about in the songs? It was just that feeling, that vibe, that fucking, let's go bring some shit sort of thing.
Well, that's what made them artists, So right. The song Creeping Death, everybody grew up in the same era, and we all watched the same stuff. So if you're watching around Easter time, everyone's watching Charlton Heston and the 10 Commandments. Everyone's watching that. Okay. Right. It was on every Easter, and anybody in my hometown, that was on. Okay.
You watched it.
Fucking Moses is coming on. It's Easter. You got to watch the 10 Commandments, right?
Some seed apart, bitch.
So there's the Passover scene where they got to put the goat's blood over the doorway, and that was Passover, and that what later is described in the song Creeping Death.
Right.
I think that was, again, going back to their bass player saying, you know what, it kind of looked like it was like a creeping death. If you didn't have the goat's blood, that creeping death, that foggy green stuff, whatever they used in that movie, it was going to kill your firstborn son.
Right.
Creeping death. You're an artist, and you're a little bit smarter than everyone, and you think a little differently. I saw the 10 Commandments movie with Charlton Heston a million times. I never called that creeping death,
Nope.
but somebody in Metallica did. They're just thinking that would be a cool thing to write about.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't in that kind of headspace, but yeah, pretty awesome stuff. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Welcome Home Sanitarium. Yeah, there's some cool backstories to almost all of their songs.
So my 5, you know what? We have a lot of similar songs. I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on it, but one of my favorite Metallica songs, and I just discovered it out of the blue. I just actually, how often do I really put an album on? Not very often. Now that I got vinyl collecting, I put a lot more on. But back in the day, I just had CDs and I never listened to them for years. Just because I didn't. I put on the shit. I can't remember what the hell fucking album it's on. Anyway, the song is called Mama Said. I think it's not on the fucking, who knows? I should have looked this up beforehand. I should really do more preparation work. Yeah. Mama Said, it's on I don't know if it's on Load or it's not on the it is on the Black Album, I believe. Anyway, it's completely fucking different. It's got this country twangy shit going on. The story's cool in it. The lyrics are cool. It's slow, and it's a badass tune. Now, most people who are Metallica fans, you're true, fucking, fans, they're going to be like, that song sucks. But if you listen to it, it's fucking great.
It's on the Load album, so that's their...
Okay.
They just achieve crazy status with the Black Album, and they're out touring and playing that forever. Right. And they come out with Load in '96.
That's
so it's on that album. There's a picture of James here, and he's got kind of a cowboy hat.
Hat going on.
I'm gonna have to listen to it. I think I remember it.
Completely different song from what they're used to, and then it made me think, why the fuck has James Hetfield never just gotten out and done himself a Huckleberry album, but a cool badass one? Tell the fucking murder ballads, do the thing, play the guitar, and just do that. I guess because his bread is buttered with Metallica. I just, you wonder why he's never branched out and done other shit.
Because they're weird. That's why Jason Newsted's not in the band. They didn't want him making any music. You're
It's
in
true.
Metallica now. So if you look at this, there's not, I mean, we live in a world. I mean, just look in the rap world. I don't think there's one song on the radio that's just one rapper.
No,
There's always somebody in there, right?
90 people in a song now.
Okay. Well, then you tell me a song that's out there that borrowed somebody from Metallica and they put them on their track. You can't find it.
And it's
They're not open to that. They're not collabing, or they're not, hey, I'm going to put out a solo thing here. They just didn't do that. That's where Jason Newsted, who was a younger than them, great bass player, had to replace one of the all-time greats, Cliff Burton, and
Right.
did it and did great. But these guys were so rich, they took so much downtime. He's like, fuck, I want to play. I got my friends here. I want to. They're like, you can't do that. You're in Metallica now. And they look back on it and they know they made a mistake. At least they can recognize, they're like, yeah, we were dicks, but you weren't allowed to put out like what you're talking about.
Right.
You know, they just thought differently, and they were ignorant. They say that they were stupid to be like that. But these guys don't hop on stage with other people.
No.
They don't hop on songs. James never put out a country album, like you said. They weren't allowed.
It just seems weird. Like
they didn't allow each other. They self-governed themselves that way.
Right. But it seems like at this point, James is older, wiser. He seems to have his shit really together now. You know, why not? Who's going to be mad? Nobody. What are you going to piss off a Metallica fan? That's fine. They're not going anywhere. They're not going anywhere, and they're not going to buy it if they don't want to.
I would see him doing some kind of like a rockabilly where it's got a little country to it.
Yes.
And like, him and his hot rods and doing all of
that shit, doing that kind of thing, man. A couple of covers, and it's like, God, I think that would be fucking cool to see what he would come up with. And maybe he will someday. I don't know. But that's what that song gets me thinking about. Number 4, For Whom the Bell Tolls, because it's fucking great. It's so great. And I'm telling you, man, I haven't done it in a long time, but putting on any of these Metallica songs that we're talking about in your car and just putting it on blast, holy shit, it's so fucking awesome. The sound of those albums are so great. Number 3, Fade to Black. I've always liked Fade to Black just because of the musicality of it all and stuff, you know, the ballad.
That was their first ballad, and that's when people started saying, oh, fucking sellouts and blah, blah, blah. It was different for them, you know?
You know, it's easy to say it now, but in the moment back then, you know, you're selling out. They're artists. They don't have to make every song fast. They don't, you know.
But no, it's a great song. It just missed the top 5. I mean, Fade to Black's amazing.
Number 2, Master of Puppets. You know what? That the scene, and I know you'll remember this, but like Master of Puppets was always just a great song. I always loved it. But when they used it in that scene in Old School, the movie Old School, where they got the black van, they're going to pick up all the dudes to join the fraternity.
Yeah,
that just reintroduced that fucking song back, and it's almost not to the same level where you know, Bohemian Rhapsody in Wayne's World did it, but it just brought that song back, and it put a different spin on it. Another great example of a great piece of music in a movie scene right there. Number 1. And this would change probably in a week, but my favorite song right now is One from Metallica. And I'm thinking about how the video worked and everything they did with it. And it's just slow, and it builds and the whole thing. And it's like, fuck, it's good.
I don't know why. I never liked the song. I don't know why. I just could never get into it. The staccato-ness of it, something about it just didn't flow for me. But I remember what a huge song it was. I remember we were working in radio, and the request for One was just nonstop. It was such a huge song, propelled by them being plastered all over finally on MTV.
Right.
And just, you know, okay, well, if we're going to be on MTV, we want to be on all the time, and it's going to look like nothing that's on your channel. You know, I mean, it was awesome. It was awesome.
You know, it's funny with the Metallica, because, like, you know, after the Black Album, when they put out Load, and it came out many years later, obviously, it's one of those things where you kind of create a problem for yourself because it was so successful. And it's not like Load's a bad album. There's bad songs on it. There's great shit on that album, you know? but they cut their hair or whatever it was, and you know what I mean. And it's like when it came out, everyone's like, "Oh, this fucking right." They've definitely cashed in. They've definitely sold out. And then it just they were so big, and so much pressure was put on them from the fans and people and critics. What's like you couldn't win.
Load is Wings. Wings was what Paul McCartney did after the Beatles. Okay,
right.
The Black Album is the fucking Beatles.
Right.
And then Load is a really good album. Wings is a fucking amazing classic rock band, and everyone gave them shit because it was like
it wasn't the Beatles.
You're in this now.
Man,
now
what is
you
this shit?
back, like you realize how big like Wings was huge.
Yeah, great song.
Huge.
Yep.
So that's what Load is to me.
Right. Right. Yeah, you can't win.
Great album, and there's jizz on the cover. I mean, it's awesome.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, I learned that on this podcast. Actually, I did not know that the Load album
is Load.
It's Load. I just assumed it was like a load off of their shoulders for releasing this album after all the success. I didn't put it all together.
A load of sperm.
And here I just am trying to give these guys credit for great literary references in their lyrics, and they have an album that's just Load.
Yeah, they just jizzed on your CD cover.
And it's like, you know what? I hear I'm trying to help these guys out, and it's just failed. It failed fucking miserably, dude. You know what's not going to fail? Is looking badass in a Rod Ryan Show Cares t-shirt, my man. Yeah. You know what? Time's running out. Okay, time is running out. The Rod Ryan Show Cares store is back online. It's online right now. If you're listening right now, the second you're done listening to this, and chances are you are already done listening to this, go and check out all the new summer merchandise, including t-shirts, koozies, stickers, and much more. What Rod is doing again this year is raising money to purchase backpacks for the area kids in Houston who obviously need them, working again with Houston Children's Charity, trying to outdo last year, raising $101,000 and passing out over 3,500 filled backpacks. That's filled backpacks. This isn't just some empty backpack. These kids are getting the supplies that they're going to need for the upcoming school year. Safe, secure shopping now on the world-famous Rod Ryan Show page at thebuzz.com. You're getting near the finish line now, right?
Yeah, we're going to pass out the backpacks in like 2-3 weeks. So it's definitely getting down to the wire now. So you always want to do as much. I want to outdo what I do every single year, but geez, I can't. I got to stop that. It's just too much money. It's just too much damn money. It's a lot of work.
It's hard.
It's really hard.
Again, the Beatles, then Wings. Black Album, then the Jizz Album. I mean, what can you do?
Final thoughts.
Just it's good to be back doing a podcast. It's good to be back in a normal routine. We're gonna creep up on, like we just mentioned, the school year. Things are gonna change. You're gonna be back on this rigid fucking here we go. Kids going to soccer, kids doing this, kids going to there, doing this, doing that. So we're getting back to that normal grind. Trying not to die in this heat is my final thought. Drink a lot of water. Take care of yourself out there because it's brutal. Brutal.
So yesterday and today, August 1st and August 2nd, on the Rod Ryan Show here in Houston, Texas, I played a Chris Stapleton song.
Wow.
On the air, dude. On the air. It's the fucking best rock song out there. That's where people they're having a little problem with me on that. But I after I pissed people off, then I'm like, I'm digging my heels in, and I'm like, that's my hot take right now. There's a Chris Stapleton song. Obviously that there's something going on with country music right now. The Billboard chart right now, the top 3 songs, not the country chart, the Billboard chart, where all the rappers and all the Pop-Tarts are and everything.
Taylor Swift, everything.
Yep. Yeah. The top 3 songs are country songs right now. That Jason Aldean's got that. Try that in a small town. It's real controversial. Chris Stapleton has a song out there. It's called White Horse. And I don't remember the last time. I know you're not a country guy. You know I'm not a country guy. I talk about Lainey Wilson all the time, and I talk about the girls, and they're all, the hottest chicks out there are country chicks. But this Chris Stapleton song, I need you to go and listen to it.
All right.
Again, it's called White Horse. Nobody will ever replace Chris Cornell. But this guy's voice is hitting me, dude. It's hitting me.
Wow.
And I've had to explain this, and I got to talk my boss into letting me play this too. Now, it's not that he doesn't like the song. He just doesn't know where, he doesn't know where people think on this. Now, we're toying around, and maybe you've done the same with Jelly Roll. And that guy's really kind of straddling, that kind of country, whatever. He's doing his thing. Nickelback just came to town. They had a country guy opening up for him on tour. And he's got more tattoos than all the guys in Nickelback combined. And Shinedown took Jelly Roll out. Right. That's how I learned who Jelly Roll was. Chris Stapleton, everyone knows he's definitely a country guy. There's no question about it. This is the best fucking rock song out there right now. And if there has got to be some connective tissue, Dan Wilson co-wrote it. He's from Semisonic, and he wrote the song Closing Time. Right. Also wrote a hit for Adele, wrote for the Chicks. He's written some big songs. I don't know. The times are a-changing, and that young people don't want to put things in a box the way that you and I used to, even going way back. You had to be metal for me. And it's like, if you listen to REO Speedwagon or Journey, you were a pussy, right? Young people don't think like that because they just want songs, and they're not so much into what's the format. Right. So it sounds, dude, it's the best rock song right now. So okay. I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. What's the future of it on the radio station? I don't know, but I played it 2 days in a row in morning drive, bro.
Yeah, but that's what's great about it, man. And I've had these conversations all the time. We're called alternative radio. We're allowed. This is what made alternative radio cool back in the day. Is we would take risks. We would do crazy shit. Right. Now no one wants to take risks. Very, very seldomly. The Jelly Roll song. I started playing it. We're playing it now, and we're one of 5 alternative rock stations in the country playing that song. And it's a fucking rock song, dude. It's awesome. It's a great song.
The one where he's asking Jesus for a favor?
Great fucking song. Such a great song. And now how long are we going to play it? I don't know. But for right now, it fits what New Orleans is all about, too. That's our guys. Listen to that station. That's that song. The Chris Stapleton is interesting because the second you say Chris Stapleton, boom, alarms are going off in people's head who listen to alternative radio. They're like, fuck that. Because of the guy's name, right? I think it, and I don't remember the story exactly. You probably remember hearing this too back in the day. I want to say it was fucking Donny Osmond or somebody went in, and it was a New York City radio station. This is years ago, a pop station, and they said, "Don't say who the fuck I am. Don't put me on the air. Just play the song." Yeah. Played the song, and people fucking went ape shit. They loved the song. And then they said who it was, and fucking everyone's like, oh God. So it's one of those moments where it's that type of thing, because there's a label. There's a label, and people can't get past these fucking labels.
Correct. So all I'm saying is just give it a listen. I don't know what's going to happen. Right. I'm just saying that I don't remember the last time I got this excited about a song. And, and not everybody is drinking my Kool-Aid. I got plenty of guys telling me, dude, what the fuck, man? You've just lost it, or you've lost me, or all of that. And I just said, listen, okay. I know what's out there. I know that, these guys are like, dude, I can tell you 10 rock songs you should be playing. You're not playing that new Seven Dust. I'm like, yeah, okay, great.
Well, and no one's gonna, okay.
but again, no one's ever going to replace Chris Cornell. But fuck, dude, there's something going on here. And Tom Morello will tell you, because he met Chris Stapleton, I think, at the Chris Cornell tribute, and they ended up doing a song together.
Wow.
And it just sounds like an Audio Slave song. I mean, it just sounds amazing. So I would love to see them do more together. I think Chris Stapleton is just going to be a next level artist. I really do. If he just keeps doing this song's ridiculous, bro.
Huh. I'll be checking it out. I will definitely check that shit out. I mean, it's, like I wrestled with a Jelly Roll song for a little while. I mean, that's what I do. I got to play the songs that I think are going to fit. And I'm like, well, this is a country dude, but man, he has got such heat on him right now. And it's it doesn't feel all twangy, jangly Ford truck bullshit America country. You know what I mean? Because that shit, that's just fucking dumb. At the end of the day, it's just dumb. It's bad writing. It's bad lyrics. It's bad everything. But these, like the Jelly Roll, and I'm assuming the Chris Stapleton, it's just not. It's a rock song, and that's what's great about those types of country acts.
And then again, guys are fighting me like, Rod, listen to it. It's country. I go, I get it. It's a country song. He didn't put it out, and they never said, boy, I hope Rod plays this in Houston. I hope like a rock radio station will play this. No, it was the most added song. It got more ads coming out of the gate at country radio. It didn't get added to one other format. Okay. So he made the song. He did it. I know that the Semisonic guy's involved, but that guy's written all kinds of genres and hits. But it's something you have to take a look at. You just have to take a look at it. And I'm willing to put my dick on the table for something like this, If it gets chopped off, well, there's not much to it anyways.
What the fuck kind of knife are we going to use?
X-Acto, please.
Fucking Jesus Christ. You know what? And again, you're never going to win the argument. You're never going to win the argument with that guy who's like, oh, it's a full country song. Go back and listen to some of that shit that we've played a million times on the radio. There's some twangy shit going on in some of those songs.
But for you, classic rock is unbelievably acceptable. There are 5, and I said this on the air, there are 5 Eagles songs that are way more country than rock, as I'm making air quotes.
Right.
And, Southern rock. I mean, on a classic rock station, you can play Sweet Home Alabama and go right into Black Sabbath Paranoid, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah. That happens all the time.
So you can play Take It to the Limit, and then you can play Crazy Train, right?
Yeah, happens.
So if that can happen, I'm trying to convince these people, like, it's already a part of what we already have accepted in our lives. All of that Molly Hatchet shit and Allman Brothers and stuff, that's all
Leonard
country,
Skinner,
man. That's all
country.
This stuff. That's all what this is. It's just, but because you want to call it country, you want to put it in a box. That's enough.
Okay, wait. Two things about that. When people call in, go, how old are you? Ask them how old they are.
Yeah, I do.
I bet you they're over 40.
Of course they are.
Probably over 50.
Yeah, of course they are.
That's
no, it's not what I grew up listening to. Give me Pearl Jam, and you can take me all the way up to, okay, if you've got to play 21 Pilots, I'll still stick around, but, ease off on the Imagine Dragons. But you got me, Rod. You got me,
Yep.
And I did not like the Billie Eilish stuff, but it was the exact definition of what alternative is, how you gave the definition earlier today. It was the alternative to what was happening.
Right.
And it was huge. Like you said about heat on Jelly Roll, there was more heat on Billie Eilish at the time than any artist.
Yeah.
And so I understood why we played it,
Right. Yeah, but that's
like boom, and then then we'll give her up to whatever, wherever she decides to end up going. She'll be a CHR pop, princess.
It's not going to stick around forever. It's going to come, it's going to go, but that's what Alanis Morris said. When we first got all that shit, we're like, what the fuck is this? We're playing a chick. I remember that, all of us, but then the song was fucking great. So, but you don't play that anymore. It's just not what happens. It's alternative. Again, ask them how old they are. That's all you got to do.
Go listen to the song. I'm curious to get your thoughts.
I will. You're not going to make me get a Harry Styles, Chris Stapleton fucking coloring book now, right?
Dude, I'm friend off with Harry. I'm Team Chris.
Oh my God. Dude, you're killing me right now. I'm so sensitive to Harry.
I'm leaving Harry. I'm Team Chris. Did you see that national anthem at the Super Bowl? I mean, fuck, just that alone. That national anthem, it was an all-time.
I did hear about it, though. Yeah.
It was an all-time great national anthem. No, it wasn't as good as Whitney, but it was all-time.
Yeah.
All right.
It's an interesting, you know what? And this, I'll wrap it up with this. You took a chance. You took a shot. You're taking a shot with the Chris Stapleton. Who else is doing that? Nobody. There's not one fucking radio station in the alternative format that is going to let that happen.
Rock or alternative. I promise you, Chris Stapleton has exactly 2 spins, and it was yesterday and today.
Yeah.
And trust me, it's getting back to somebody. You can't hide anymore.
It's all there.
It's out there. So somehow this will get back to somebody, and they're like, what's going on in Houston? And
right.
Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Well, what's funny is that, and again, not to belabor the point, but everyone always bitches about, oh, you guys play the same songs over and over again. All right. Here's Chris Stapleton. Fuck you. What do you think about that, bitch?
You don't want the Imagine Dragons? Well, here's some fucking Chris Stapleton. All right.
Well, no, I meant play, the 6th track off the fucking Gojira album from 70. Fuck yourself. Right. We're not playing that.
All right, that's enough, guys. Everything is back. So at Playpants Pod, we should probably put some stuff on social media. The YouTube page is here back, so you can watch this podcast if you're only listening to it and catch up on some of the older ones. And then if you have some ideas for some top 5s, send those over to us.
Fire away.
And if you wanted to share with us your top 5 Metallica songs, what did we miss? I mean, we went. You had one song off of Load, and that was it. Nobody. How do you do a top 5 Metallica song and not one song off the Black Album makes the list?
I'll tell you why.
The biggest rock albums of all time.
Yeah, it's because we've played those songs so much. It's like they're still great, love them, but I'm not sitting around listening to Enter Sandman. I'm just not.
Right.
All right. So, thank you.
Yeah, send us your Metallica top 5s. All right, Jason, good to see you. You look good, bro.
Yeah, you're right. Good to be doing this again.
Peace out, everybody.
Let's go. It's time. Put on Playpants.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts. See us on our YouTube channel and follow our social media pages at Playpants Pod.